Finally, the Muppet Show special is here, after months of anticipation. This 33-minute special was created to commemorate the 50th anniversary of the Muppet Show, and also to act as a backdoor pilot for a potential Muppet Show revival series. The show, of course, stars the Muppets and guest stars Sabrina Carpenter, Maya Rudolph, and Seth Rogen, with the latter acting as a producer. Like a lot of Muppet fans, I was very excited for this. The Muppets have had a pretty tumultuous last couple of years, and to bring back the original Muppet Show, I've said for a very long time would be the perfect next place to take them. The Muppets are always experimenting with new types of media and different roles, but, there's something about that classic variety show format that I think they would really benefit from again in the modern day. And when I saw a few days ago that this show was getting insanely positive reviews, notably, it had a 100% on Rotten Tomatoes at first, that's since dropped down to a 97, which come on, that's a 97%. That's really insanely good. After reading all those positive reviews, I knew that something had gone right, and after watching the show for myself when it aired on Wednesday on Disney Plus, and then I watched it again when it aired on ABC, I can confidently say, yes, something here went very, very right. Hello everybody, and welcome back to Mupptown Funk. I'm your host Ty, as always, and today I am very excited to give you guys my thoughts on the 2026 Muppet Show special. So, no spoilers, let's go. This show is insanely good, and you should stop watching this video and watch it instead. No, but really, all jokes aside, this special works as a revival in a way that I've seen very few revivals successfully pull off. This special genuinely feels like you're watching an episode of The Muppet Show if it happened to come out in 2026. There's a perfect combination of old and new here, honoring the original Muppet Show while also honoring what the Muppets have done since and adding brand new things to it. The sketches are a combination of classic ones from the original Muppet Show and also some brand new ones. The songs played, of which there are several, include not only, of course, one of Sabrina Carpenter's songs, but also songs from a variety of decades. You have classic rock songs, classic folk songs, songs from just a couple of years ago. It's a really good mix. And the cast also has a perfect mix. It's been over 40 years since the original Muppet Show ended, which is crazy to say. But of course, we've gotten a lot of Muppet projects since then, introducing a lot of new characters. And it's great to see that this new Muppet Show is, of course, using some of the more recent popular Muppet characters. You have Pepe in there, you have Bobo, you have all of the Bill Beretta characters from Muppets Tonight that frequently reappear in modern Muppet productions, but it's great to see them here. Rizzo has been recast, and he's featured in the special, and he speaks, and his new puppeteer, Bradley Freeman Jr., I think does an excellent job with the character. And I think the situation with Rizzo is really a microcosm of how well they handle the characters in this special in general. This special has a lot of respect for the Muppet cast. The whole special is only 30 minutes, and I think that's easily its biggest drawback. It results in a lot of characters not being featured too much, but they made sure that pretty much all of the prominent Muppet characters have at least one or two funny moments. Fozzie isn't in the special much, but he makes a good significant impact when he's there. Same with Rolf, and so on and so forth. I think easily the biggest characters to not have a big role here are the Electric Mayhem. I also would have liked to see a bit more of the Swedish Chef, but these characters are still featured, do still speak. Floyd doesn't speak, but the band is present. You even get some good appearances from lesser background characters, many of which were rebuilt specifically for this special and haven't appeared or haven't spoken since season 1 of The Muppet Show. And in addition to them, you also have some other different background characters from over the years, some of which I didn't even recognize, so it was pretty fun to look them up later and see what their backgrounds are. So there's this great respect and care for both the background characters and the main characters. Not only did some background characters get rebuilt for this, Rolf did as well. Rolf hasn't had a new puppet since 1985, and this was the time that they decided to build a new puppet for him, and I think it looks pretty good. We first started seeing it last year, but now we get to kind of see it in full, and yeah, it's a good design. But let's set aside what characters appeared and their designs for a moment and talk about character personalities. A lot of the Muppets have had their personalities shift and change a bit over the years, and there are a few characters that I was really concerned about going into this special because I haven't really liked their recent portrayals. Up first is Scooter. Scooter was one of my favorite Muppets as a kid, but for years now I've been really disappointed by his portrayal in the ABC Muppet Show, where they just made him into a total loser. Like, the joke with Scooter became this generic lives in mom's basement and doesn't like her new boyfriend stereotype. There's an entire episode where Scooter tries to go on a date with a comedian that he saw on the, and I quote in Scooter's words, dirty language channels that he puts on when his mom is asleep, and he runs away because she kisses him on their date. It's like, they made Scooter so much of a loser, and it really bothered me, and that characterization kind of stuck in more recent appearances, but I was very, very happy to see that Scooter was just kind of back to his usual self here, which is great. I also haven't been the biggest fan of Miss Piggy's characterization since the ABC show. While I do like the ABC show quite a bit, a lot of the characterizations were so cynical, and Piggy in particular was like such a jerk in the first half of the show that they had to go out of their way to try to undo it in the second half. So, I don't know, I was just concerned with Piggy's portrayal because that show made her almost too mean to the point where she wasn't enjoyable to watch. And I'm happy to say that here she is once again mean and enjoyable to watch. Personally, I thought she was a little too annoying and obnoxious at some points, and I feel like sometimes these days they kind of miss the niceness that is supposed to be somewhere in Miss Piggy's core, but I think she was perfectly fine here. I think the best way that I could sum up the character personalities is with Fozzie. Fozzie shows up in the special, and he's super happy and helpful and cracking jokes and trying his best to help out Kermit. And it just made me so happy to see because it felt like classic, regular Fozzie and not like the ABC show Fozzie, who was funny, but was also, again, just kind of depressed. When Fozzie showed up here, I was like, oh yeah, Fozzie's supposed to be a very happy character. Fozzie's supposed to not let other people getting him down get to him, and he keeps going. And I kind of forgot that. And I know I keep making comparisons to the ABC show in particular, but it's because that's really the last major Muppet production we had, and a lot of the characterizations introduced in that show have stuck around in future appearances. So I'm very happy to say that the characters really do feel like themselves and were treated very well. You could tell, of course, that these are the modern interpretations from the modern puppeteers, but they act just like how the characters are supposed to. It really feels like the classic Muppet Show, or like how they've been treated in other appearances, like, say, the 2011 movie. This is how you want to see the Muppets represented. This is how you want to see them act. This is what you want to see done with them. And speaking of what you want to see done with them, we of course need to address Kermit, who has unfortunately become easily the most controversial thing about the Muppets for the past decade now. Ever since Steve Whitmire's firing and Matt Vogel's hiring of Kermit, Kermit and his voice and his performance have always become a contentious point. I've made it no secret in the past on my channel that I'm not a fan of Matt Vogel's Kermit, and it was something I was pretty concerned about here. I've said before, though, that, bringing back the Muppet Show, doing something with the Muppets consistently again, would be good because it would give Matt Vogel's Kermit a more consistent role. Kermit, over the last several years, has basically been in mascot mode, just doing press appearances, and sporadically hearing Kermit every few months, with a voice that sounds very different to what you're used to, has not been helpful. But I will say, here, I genuinely think this is one of the best Matt Vogel Kermit performances. I still don't like the voice, And there were certainly a couple times throughout the show where the voice was pretty distracting and kind of pulled me out of it. The way he says Sabrina Carpenter's name drives me insane and is all I've been able to think about for the last 3 days. He says Carpenter like he's choking on every syllable, and it's just strange. Kermit's singing voice in particular was really rough at some points, and that was just very disappointing to me as well. But all in all, I do think this was a pretty solid Kermit performance from Matt Vogel, and I will say, as someone who's typically very distracted by this voice and not a big fan of it, there were a couple moments where I kind of forgot. Moments where Kermit was having full conversations, where I just felt like I was listening to Kermit. Not because the voice in particular is super, super good as a Kermit voice, but because it did feel like Kermit. I think one of the main issues that Matt Vogel's Kermit has is the fact that, like I said, Kermit's been in mascot mode for the last few years. He's mainly done press appearances or things for Disney. And I know a lot of people have been upset that the Muppets have felt like they've been lacking their typical chaos of late, or that Kermit has become like maybe too nice. The entire plot of this special is Kermit getting way too freaked out, way too stressed out, and I think Matt Vogel plays it very, very well. So, while I don't like the voice, I think the portrayal here is the best portrayal of Kermit that Matt Vogel has done. It feels the most like Kermit to me. It doesn't feel like mascot Kermit. It feels like legit Kermit trying to figure things out. And I think that's great. Like I said before, the sketches and songs here are a great combination of new and old. There are some hits and misses. I actually plan to do a video ranking all of the sketches and songs in this new show from worst to best. That'll be releasing in just a few days, so I'm going to hold off on my opinions on them until that video, so stay tuned for that. I do want to touch on the guest stars, though. I thought Sabrina Carpenter did a very great job with the Muppets. She was very fun to watch. I'm not a big fan of her. I know a lot of her music, but I didn't know what to expect, and I thought that she played off the Muppets very, very well, and she had some of my favorite funny moments in the special, because, yes, this special is genuinely funny, and I laughed out loud at several jokes both times I watched it, which I think is great. But yeah, she plays off of the Muppets very, very well. I just really appreciated how she acted with them. She and Miss Piggy have a rivalry that's very fun. She's very fun with Kermit. With a lot of the other characters, she chokes out the Frackles and throws them around, which is great. I liked that. Seth Rogen, meanwhile, has just a very small role in the special. I got a lot of comments from people when I did my trailer breakdown, upset that Seth Rogen was involved in this. I know a lot of people don't like Seth Rogen, and a lot of people don't like Seth Rogen because he's just one of those people that's like in everything these days, and his track record is pretty hit or miss, but he's in this show for a very short amount of time. There are a couple of jokes with him. They're okay. They're fine. If you don't like Seth Rogen, I don't think that should prevent you from watching this special. Again, he's in it very little, and also behind the scenes, he was a producer, but he didn't direct, he didn't write. The writers here are a mix of, I believe, new writers who did a great job, and also Muppet writers that have written several past Muppet projects. This has some of the writers from Muppets Haunted Mansion, the Muppets Take the Bowl, and O2 shows, which are some of the best received modern Muppet projects. So if you're concerned about Rogen's involvement, don't be. He's barely in the show. He's working behind the scenes, but the writers and the directors, the people that brought it together on screen, really do a great job at making this feel like a Muppet show. Maya Rudolph is pretty funny. She has a very weird subplot. She's in the audience. I don't know, much like Seth Rogen, she doesn't need to be there. I guess Seth Rogen being there, he doesn't need to be on screen, but he helped make the show. I get him giving himself a cameo, whatever. I don't know why Maya Rudolph is here. Her section is good, but it just kind of comes out of nowhere in the middle of the show and runs for a couple of minutes here and there. There's no setup, and it feels like there's almost no time for setup. And I think that's easily my biggest issue with the show. It's quite simply too short. The original Muppet Show was 22 minutes. This show is 33 minutes. And again, they have a good combination of stuff here. You have a backstage plot, you have your different numbers, but I don't know. There are some things that just make me wish that this special were longer. A lot of the characters only have one or two lines, a lot of the significant characters. And while, like I said earlier, it's great that they went out of their way to make sure basically all the prominent Muppets speak and have a couple of jokes, I do wish we got more from a lot of the characters. If you go into the sketches, there were 7. 4 of them are musical numbers, and 3 of them are sketches. And I just wish we got a couple more traditional sketches. If you're a big Sabrina Carpenter fan, only one of the 2 songs she sings is one of her actual songs. So part of me was just kind of wishing we got a little more. I wish that this were an hour special instead, but I will say, all of these issues I have would be resolved if this gets picked up as a full series. If this gets picked up for a full series, there will be plenty of time to use the characters that weren't in this as much. There will be plenty of opportunities to have other sketches, both new and old. There will be plenty of opportunities to use characters that weren't in this at all. I know a lot of people are going to be a little disappointed that Walter wasn't in this, because there was an entire Muppet movie about him helping bring back the Muppet Show, but if this gets picked up for a full show, I'm sure he'll show up somewhere, you know? It's really good when my biggest criticism in a review is that I wish there was more. And I really, really do hope there was more. This is doing really well, getting insanely good reviews, so I hope Disney's listening, and I hope they make the right choice and pick this up as a full series. This works beautifully as a revival. I love how they handled it. In a day and age where so many things are revived and full of so much nostalgia bait, I appreciate this show feeling like the classic Muppet Show, but feeling like it came out this year, you know? And that's a good thing. We want these characters to evolve and carry on, and even when they're back on their classic stage, it's so great to see this. I love that this show didn't feel like nostalgia bait. You know, yeah, you have Scooter knocking on the guest star's door, you have the classic theme song, but they feel like they're there not so you go, oh, that's the thing from the original show, but because it is a revival of the original show. There's enough new in there mixed with enough old in there to make for a really, really perfect combination. If you haven't checked it out, I highly advise you do so. I thought this was really great, really fun. I'm so happy to see other fans and also critics too saying that as well, and I really hope that this gets picked up for a full series, because I really think it deserves it. The team behind this, kudos to you. They knew what they were doing. Thank you all so much for watching this review. Stay tuned for another video coming out in a few days where I'll be ranking the sketches in this special. I'll see you guys next time. Bye now.